안녕하세요. 비트 POV입니다. 오늘은 마크유스코의 이전 인터뷰 영상에서 추가적으로 발췌한 내용을 가져왔습니다.
Can you maybe explain to the viewer listening, hey,
Yep.
the halving, what's going on, what's been happening? The ETFs are supposed to bring all this money in, but we're seeing more, as you mentioned again, more of a slow grind down.
Now, the cycle's the same, so it's not different this time, but there are two things that make this cycle. So the first is in the previous halving events, it's hard-coded that the block rewards, the rewards paid to miners to secure the network, get cut in half every 4 years because it guarantees that the price will rise. Remember, they're the hedgers. They need to sell the coins to pay for their expenses. Well, they're not willing to sell them at a low price, so they hold them longer until somebody bids a higher price, and so it causes the price to rise. And on average, it's risen about 100%, which makes sense. If you cut by 50, you have to go up 100. Perfect. Well, this time, in doing these inscriptions, you had to pay the miners transaction fees. Well, if my block rewards go down, normally I wouldn't sell unless I get a higher price, but now I'm getting these transaction fees. So that meant we didn't have as much of a dramatic rise right after post-halving. But the real reason is ETFs were launched and new money has come in, not as much as people think, because what happens with these ETFs, and it happened with GLD and others, is arbitrage. So there are these gigantic firms. So like when they say this big hedge fund has 2 billion of the ETF, well, yeah, they do, but they're also short 2 billion of futures against it because they don't take directional risk. They're going to be short Honeywell. So they don't take directional risk. They have equal dollars long and short. But the price actually drifted down for 9 months because the futures get short, rises, because they're the ones that have to sell. And we do two things extremely well. We buy what we wish we would have bought. So we're always chasing that hot dot and we push momentum further than it should. And then we sell what we're about to need, right? You have to really do it, right? You have to focus on it.
Yeah.
You can't do it part-time. You can't do it halfway. And unfortunately, that's what most people do. That's why most people stink. But people who really do it, even those people, it's a very small percentage that are good. Because trading inherently is hard as a human. Again, humans, we're overly emotional. We have all these cognitive biases. We think we're smarter than we really are. We think we're more experienced than we really are. We think we're more disciplined than we really are. So it's really hard to overcome the human biases that make most traders really bad at it. Again, it doesn't mean there aren't great traders. There are, very small number.
Yeah.
Investing the only business in the world, literally. When things go on sale, people run out of the store. Every other business, we go back to the main question, the dollar versus crypto. Or dollar versus Bitcoin. So what people don't seem to snap, which I don't really understand because it's not that complicated, and demand for, I said, we know the supply, not the demand. We know the supply for the next 140 years. And so what's happening, Bitcoin prices on September 6th at 53,000. And everybody said we were going to 20 and, the bull market was over and everything was going to, be a shit. I think that's just about the same time as the Fed did cut rates by 50 basis points. And now we're at 67,400. And we're probably just on the verge of a breakout out of a very, very nice cup and handle pattern that would take us to the 6 digits by the end of the year.
실제로 비트코인은 연말에 10만 달러에 도달했고 2025년 1월 20일에는 109K의 최고점을 찍었습니다.
This is an amazing pattern. It's an amazing consolidation. You put something on sale, people run into the store. Like we're coming up on Black Friday, right? But you take Bitcoin down 15% and they run away and say it's going to zero. It's crazy. Sales appeal to the core human nature that we have, right? We all like deals. We all like to get something for nothing or to get something for below its fair value. Or that's an investor. Investors buy things below fair value. Traders don't give a shit, about fair value. They just need movement. up or down, and they want to scalp. Speculators really don't care about value. They're just taking the opposite side of hedgers. Well, what's a hedger? A hedger is someone who produces something, oil, wheat, corn, Bitcoin, and has to sell their production forward, usually in the futures market, in exchange to pay their bills. And so they're hedging, they're selling future production. And so the speculator just takes the other side. They don't really care. They're just providing a liquidity tool and they hope it goes up. And then you got gamblers, right? Gamblers are people who buy meme coins and other stuff where there literally is no value.
We always talk about, hey, this cycle's different, but this cycle kind of was different. We hit an all-time high prior to the halving, and then it's just been a slow grind downwards, as you said.
And I talked about this on January 10th, that everyone was talking about the approval of the ETFs, but no one was talking about the CME very quietly increasing the number of futures contracts that were going to be available at the behest of BlackRock. Because BlackRock, yes, they bought $300 million worth of the ETF on behalf of their clients, but some of those clients are selling at least an equal amount, in some cases even more, because they're doing something called spoofing, which is they're intentionally trying to lower the price so they can accumulate at a higher price. This is one of the dirtiest little secrets on Wall Street, right? If you know you want to buy a bunch of stuff, do you announce to the world that you want to buy? Hell to the no, because then what's going to happen? Everybody's going to raise the price. So what do? You say, I hate this asset. I'm short this asset. So then everybody panics and the price goes down. And what do? You just accumulate. JP Morgan's been doing this in gold forever. So 2 years ago, they got caught because you're not allowed to naked short. That's against the law. That's bad. But they do it all the time.
오늘은 마크유스코의 비트코인 주제 영상이었는데요. 마크유스코의 알트코인, 밈코인 영상도 올릴 예정이니 많은 관심 부탁드립니다. 그리고 잠깐 코인 매매 하시는데 혼자서는 막막하시거나 계속해서 손실 보시는 분들은 아래 더보기란 누르시거나 010-5239-9699로 구독 2글자 남겨주시면 거시경제부터 실전매매 팀까지 100% 무료로 공유해드립니다. 추가로 바쁘신데 투자는 하고 싶고 시간은 없으신 분들을 위해 자동매매 프로그램도 100% 무료로 드리고 있으니 많은 관심 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.